Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Midlife Mojo Mondays at the 2 p.m. ish hour. Today's one of the ish days. I apologize, and we're going to hope that technology holds out for this whole entire video. But I'm really excited for today's talk, so I'm glad we got the sound and the video watching because you guys are in for a great special guest that I have. But for those of you who are new to the Midlife Mojo page, every Monday I go live here. I always say the 2 p.m. ish hour. I aim for two. And I do some kind of either myself, I do a teaching, or I do a demonstration, oftentimes we're using essential oils, or I bring on a special guest like I am today. And I'm going to start also be doing some product reviews as well. Things that I find that I like, I'm going to start including on these Mondays and rotations as well. And every week, you know that in the Midlife Mojo group, there's like a loose theme, I always say, that kind of goes throughout the week. And so this week's theme was breaking a sweat. And so we're going to talk about, like ways to stay cool, exercising during the summer and foods that'll keep you cool and some products that'll keep you cool, all that kind of stuff. But when I think of breaking a sweat, it's not just necessarily breaking a physical sweat, but it's also sometimes breaking a mental sweat. And so that's why today's special guest, body liberation coach Tobey Geise, is going to be perfect for kind of helping you break through some things. She's going to talk to you a little bit about eliminating emotional eating. Right. So I always tell everybody it's easy to not put something in your mouth. Right. That's the easy part. It's what goes on up here that makes for permanent change. And that's what Tobey is an expert at. So I am going to read a little bit about her. I'm going to read you her bio and then I'm going to bring her on and we will get going. And definitely, if you're here, say hello in the chat. Love to see you guys there. Always makes me happy to know we're talking to people. If you're watching on the replay, definitely participate. Also, we'll go back and answer any questions, all that good stuff. So, a little bit about my guest, Tobey Geise. And Tobey, you can tell me, I forgot to ask if I pronounced that correctly. Hopefully, I am. Geese, guys, we'll soon find out, ladies. All right. She is a lifelong student, always seeking and evolving. She began her personal growth path in 2004, deep diving into self-awareness and transformational work. Her growth path led her to spirituality, where she overcame a painful eating disorder and turned her attention to healing her own mind, body, and soul. Tobey's a certified integrative NLP coach, a master practitioner of hypnotherapy and mental and emotional release. She's a Reiki master and breathwork practitioner. And Tobey is passionate about empowering others to find their own healing within. So let me get her here and we'll find out if I pronounced her name right or not.
Hi,
Hello
Jill. Hi,
there.
everyone.
Hello, hello. Was I good?
Hi. It's close, very close. It's Geise.
Geise. All right, not like
Geise.
Weiss. Weiss,
Yeah,
Geise. All
yeah,
right.
exactly.
All right. So now you guys know. Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you for being here. You look absolutely fantastic. I love your background there.
Thank you.
Very, very soothing to look at as we're looking at you as well. And I know the kind of person you are, so it certainly represents you well as well. So I'm excited to kind of talk today. You've got a whole lot of things to your name there, a whole lot of you're like me. You certificate. You're like me. I always say a Jill of all trades, right? And that's because I think you probably like myself follow your passions,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah. And here in like the Midlife Mojo group, that's what we're all about: is trying to figure out what it is, getting rid of the old stuff, the old us, so we can kind of jump, kind of come into our own, find what is our mojo, our passions, and follow them. And a big piece, I know we're going to have to get into a lot about emotional eating and all of that stuff today, but I would love just for people to kind of know your journey a little bit. I think it's good to kind of know where somebody's coming from, and so they can kind of, just kind of connect with you a little bit more. So that word body liberation coach, love it. I never actually heard somebody, I've heard, of course, body liberation, but never in the body liberation coach and liberation, freedom. I mean, that's what I'm all about with my intermittent fasting. And that's why I think you and I connected so well. I think we're two sides of the same coin, or different sides of the same coin, I should say. So maybe you could explain a little bit about how you got, that you mentioned an eating disorder in your bio. So just a little bit about your story and how this all just kind of came to be. And then we'll delve in a little more.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I was put on my first diet when I was 9 years old. And my mom had taken me in for my standard physical, and I get on the scale and I weighed 70 pounds, which I don't really have I don't have kids, so I don't know if that's a lot for a 9-year-old, but the doctor told me I was fat. And I needed to lose weight. And so that was literally the beginning of the rest of my life. And I was doing Slim Fast at 9 at the pool. I was the youngest kid at Weight Watchers at 11 or 12. I can't remember the first time I did it because I've done it many times. So you can imagine starting that young. I've done every diet you can ever imagine. But when I was 12, I discovered bulimia. Like, I say discovered because it was like the holy grail. I can eat whatever I want and then just get rid of it. But just like any addiction, like alcoholism or drug use, which is fun at the beginning, it then becomes like the monster that you can't get out from underneath. So from 12 to 35, I practiced bulimia, and that's when I got into recovery. So my first recovery was OA, Overeaters Anonymous, and I was in that for 4.5 years. And still had control over the food, and I didn't eat, whenever you cut out whole food groups and you're totally restricting, like, I believe that it can't ever work forever, right? I didn't eat any flour or any sugar in the first 5 ingredients for 5 whole years.
Wow.
But therefore food didn't call to me because I restricted. But I was afraid that if I took a bite of something, just like they tell you in AA, you have a sip and you're going to go back down that dark spiral. So it's like, well, am I really free from this, or is it still controlling me? Right. So, and body image was still a real challenge for me. Even though I was in OA, I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I'm a seeker and I'm a hard worker, and it's like, I did everything and I was seeking outside of that and I could not find the answer. And I had a spiritual experience that released it from me. And then I spent the next several years integrating, like, oh, what does this mean now? Who am I now? If I'm not bulimic, if I'm not, if I don't have to go on diets, if I can eat what I want, what does this mean? Who am I? So that was like a few years of the process. And I was still afraid of eating flour and sugar. And still, I didn't eat flour and sugar for a full year after that. But it really gave me this self-love. Like, I was really, there was like this golden light of self-love. I don't really know how to explain it. If anybody's ever had like a really powerful spiritual experience, it's hard to put words to something like that. But I do know that soon after I had that experience, I was like, okay, now I need to find a way to translate this to others, because my entire life, I always knew that I was a teacher and I was here to help people. I just didn't know how. So I had to overcome my wound so that I could offer it as a gift to the world. And so that's where, the Reiki came in. And I'm also trained in Huno, which is Hawaiian shamanism, and the NLP and the hypnotherapy and all the modalities that interest me. And now I've kind of put everything together, and I use the study of the unconscious mind, which is where all of our blocks are, and also where all change takes place, along with energy. And I've kind of put together this unique system of my own that is really working.
I love that. So your story is, I'm sure like a lot of women who are in this group, I think my own sister, she, for years, she had struggled with anorexia when she was younger. So I think eating disorders, especially I think in this age group, I don't know, but I remember all like the after school stuff. Like, it was a big, like, something that was a lot of people in my high school, a lot of people were doing back then. And I think, like you said, it was like a thing to do almost, or it was fun, or as you said, the quick fix. And then those things become long term. 12 to 35, right? That's a long time. Yeah. And that's a lot of undoing, right? And so when you say things like, I don't know, how to figure out who I am and things like that, I'm sure, unfortunately, a lot of women in the, especially in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s can relate to that, because what I also discovered was, what I didn't realize was how much eating disorders go on that start in the midlife years. And I was surprised by that, but there is actually I was looking into that a little bit, and there is a thing that people are shifting their life. They're lonely. They don't know what to do. I've got to get, whatever it is, there's just things going on that, that cause that. And so I think the fact that you talk about eating not as a diet, right? Not as, I've got to give something up, right? You're talking about it as, when you talk about being afraid of flour, being afraid of sugar, right? Like, how do you start to live, right? How can you live? And so you being this liberation coach, right? So how were you able to find that? Like give me an example of something that was maybe a freeing example for you, or something that has made it easier for you to kind of break through it. I hope I'm saying that right.
In the realm of food.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, here's an example. I didn't drink, I quit alcohol at the same time when I got into OA because every time I would drink, I would binge. And it was just uncontrollable. They went hand in hand. So I knew I had to quit that also. But last year, I realized, oh, I don't have a problem with this anymore. I've done enough work on myself. I've done enough healing. And I had a long conversation with my best friend about it before I took a sip of that glass of wine. But I was like, my mouth watered for 7 years every time I smelled red wine. I was like, am I ever going to be able to have a glass of wine again? And I did. And so now, and it's not an issue. Like I forget, oh yeah, I drink, and I'm out to dinner. I guess I'll have a glass of wine. But it's like, it doesn't even come into my head anymore. And here's another example is that I can have ice cream in my house and forget about it. I can have chocolate in my house and forget that it's there. Like right now, there's chocolate ginger chews in my cabinet, and that never would have happened before. Like I couldn't ever have like trigger foods in my house without eating the entire package. And now I don't have trigger foods anymore. Nothing controls me anymore.
And so, ladies, Dawn, I see you're there. Hi, hon. Thanks for watching. But I hope that's ringing true for you guys. That there's hope, right? I think some of us think this is just how it's always going to be. I've always struggled with the flower and I think people just kind of resign themselves, especially in their midlife years, to, oh, well, now I'm old. There's no sense now. And I think that you've shown, like, it doesn't matter, 12 to 35, that's a lot of years to overcome. And then to be able to come out the other side, like you said, and red wine or ice cream be just another thing, like in your refrigerator, not something that's there to haunt you. So I hope that's so. How can you help others do? Like I know, like there are certain modalities. So you've got a whole bunch of modalities that you use. Do you use all of them with people, or where do you start with somebody? Or let me phrase that. Like, what would be the person that you would start with? Let's start that. What would be the person you would start with? Like, who would be
who's
the
my
ideal
client?
person? Yeah.
Yeah. So I say it's spiritual women, and I go back and forth on that a lot because some people may not identify as spiritual, but I use a lot of, I use energy healing. I mean, look at my background, right? It's a mandala, right? So some people may consider me a little too woo-woo. So that's why I say spiritual women, because I do use a lot of different things that people may not have ever heard of. But if what you've been doing has been working, then then you wouldn't be here in the first place.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be seeking me out. So yes, I do things differently. It's a spiritual woman, and really any age. I've had clients as young as 24 and as old as like mid 60s. So it really spans.
Yeah.
The gamut, the issues with eating starting a little bit later in life. Like, yeah, I have a lot of clients where it wasn't an issue before. And then, I have a client who got cancer, and because so much food was restricted during her treatment, it like triggered this thing that she'd never even experienced before. So yeah.
So
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that was perfect. So that's who you want. So then how do you start with somebody? So if somebody was to come to you, they're coming to you, they're spiritual, but are they coming to you with an eating disorder? Are they just coming with you because they're overweight? Are they coming to you just because they need to lose 5 pounds? Like who is that person? Because when I think of emotional eating, I think of somebody who's got some deep-seated things to undercover. It's not just 5 pounds to lose because I put it on because I ate too much ice cream this week. You know what I'm saying? So
well, it doesn't always have to do with the weight either. So yes,
yeah.
All of that. It's all of that, because there are people who don't have any weight to lose, but the food controls them in their minds because maybe they're an over-exerciser, which was also something that I had in my history. So it really has to do with, what is your mental state around food? What is your mental state when you look in the mirror? Do you have a lot of self-hatred with your body? So it could be an eating disorder. You could have defined yourself as bulimic or anorexic or compulsive overeater, or a lot of people, that's a really hard definition. It was for me. It took me a long time to be able to identify with those words. It was terrifying, especially as an overachiever. Like, what does that mean? If I have an eating disorder, wait, no, what? It was so hard for me to wrap my mind around, so I don't say that, I say, does the food control your mind? Do you have uncontrollable cravings? And when you start eating, you don't know how to stop? Do you you have emotions, and the very first thing that you do is go to your comfort foods because you don't have other strategies to take care of those emotions. Is food your best friend and your worst enemy? This is probably landing with some people.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure there's a lot of people checking those boxes. And that's why I love what you do. Like, cause those are questions though that we don't tend to ask, right? We just say, okay, where's the next pill, the next powder, the next whatever we can take to lose this weight, and kind of ignore, is food my best friend, is, or what's is, we kind of, put that down. So how do you help people either recognize that that's what's going on for them, and or start to face that and deal with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. The recognition piece, I think, for some people, usually people recognize that they have a problem because they've gained weight. And especially this past year in COVID, it's hit a lot of people because, shelter in place, they didn't know what to do. I can't go to the gym, therefore, and I'm just going to stay home and eat to comfort myself because I'm terrified of what's happening in the world. So, a lot of times it does come out in the weight gain, and a lot of people come to me because they want to lose weight. And so, I work with people in a lot of different ways. And when they come to me and we have a phone call, kind of assess, what's going on with you. And a lot of times in that first phone call, I'll kind of take them through a process and take them into themselves and into their intuition. One of the things I love to do is to drop people into their intuition and into their bodies so that they can hear their bodies speak to them, because our bodies are communicating to us all the time. And our bodies will tell us what we need to eat, what we want to eat, what nutrients we need. But most of us don't know how to listen and how to hear those things. So I have a couple different ways. I work with people one-on-one, and that's obviously a more customized experience where I use all kinds of different modalities and I pull in whatever's needed at the moment. And I also have a course called Eliminate Emotional Eating, just like the title of today. And that is a 6-week course where I do pull in a lot of these modalities, but it is more structured. That's a group process. But what I love about that is that I do take people through guided meditations and energy healings and hypnosis and all kinds of different modalities that we weave in there. And then I have you're going to be on that course, which is so exciting because I believe in focusing on all 4 bodies. So mostly when we're talking about weight loss, people are focusing just on the physical, but that weight came on somehow. Right. And we know that the weight is a symptom of something deeper. And so it's all about getting to what is that root cause of the reason why you're eating, what's going on emotionally, spiritually, mentally within you. So those are the 4 bodies: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And everything I do is structured around that. I make sure to hit all 4 of those bodies. And so in my course, I focus more on the spiritual, mental, and emotional, and I'm bringing in other experts to focus on the physical. Yourself to do intermittent fasting and essential oils. I have a nutritionist who's going to talk about gut health and give some suggestions and structure around meal planning. And then I have somebody teaching EFT tapping for cravings, to eliminate cravings. So it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And so, that's a big part of what I teach too. I mean, I always say that one of the 3 pillars of my program is listening to your body, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't teach people what to eat. I say, here are some foods, you figure out what and how much, and people don't like that, right? You typically want 3, how many carbs, how many, protein, how many, right? They want to know that, or what I should do. And so it's hard for people. And so learning to listen to the signals of your body is a very difficult thing. So I love that that's something that you help people tap into their own intuition, how to hear. We're all moving too fast and running around too hard to stop and listen. And I always say, this body, it knows, right? This body's whole purpose is to keep us alive and running. So it would never do anything to harm us. So if we just followed its lead, it would lead us in the right direction. But
Yes,
so,
absolutely. I love the way
yeah.
you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love what you do. So obviously, your program is unique in the sense that you're not necessarily teaching people how to diet. You're teaching them how to lose the emotional baggage, is what I always
Yes.
call ultimately like that. So, what are some of the results that you've seen from some of your clients that they've shared with you?
From the emotional eating course, I have a client who she did sign on with me for one-on-one afterwards, and we just spoke the other day. We haven't started our coaching yet, but she said it's the strangest thing. Ever since the end of the class, I just haven't had the desire to emotionally eat. I don't even know where it came from. It was kind of a delayed reaction for her. She was writing me in the course and she's like, I don't know what's going on, but like I can't stop binging, and it's kind of one of those things where where when you're trying to change things within yourself, your unconscious mind is like, wait, red alert, something's changing, because our unconscious mind likes to keep things the same. And when you try to make change, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
Yep.
Right. And so it's kind of just like holding on for the ride, trusting the process and going with it. And like when she told me that, I was so thrilled. I'm like, yes, absolutely. It's energy, and I had a girl who had never done any type of personal growth work, which is somebody who I love to work with, because to see them pop and to see them like have all these revelations is just the most fun thing ever. It's so rewarding. And she was like, I've never done anything like this before. And she got to the root cause of her eating. And she understood that, some things that happened in her family and some patterns that were there that she really wasn't aware of. And she just has a whole new awareness and awakening about what she's doing. And she realizes that she can stop eating. Somebody else, this was so cool. She's like, I put a piece of apple pie in my mouth and then I walked away from it and forgot about it. She's like, I've never been able to do that with a dessert. That was so cool. And she said, awesome. And then another time I put something in my mouth. I realized I didn't like it and I spit it out. And she's like, and before, if I started it, I would always eat the entire thing, even if I didn't like it. Right. And so, and just one more, because there's so many, so many like fun awarenesses. Somebody else had, I guided them through the Eliminate Emotional Eating hypnosis, which I am giving as a gift to all of your audience members.
Yeah, I'll put that up in a minute, but finish what you're saying.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I guided them through that in the course, and she had this experience where she went back to one of the early times that she was binging when she was in high school, and she never knew why she was binging, but she had this memory, and she was sitting in the car in their garage eating McDonald's, and her parents were fighting upstairs. And she had this realization that all of her food problems started when her parents were going through a divorce, because she's like, would rather focus on the issues with food than face the divorce, because it was too challenging and too confrontational for her to actually face what was going on with her parents. So she created another problem instead, and made her whole world about that, because it was easier to face. We are just the most intelligent, wise beings, and our brains create these coping mechanisms for us when we're younger that are really intelligent and are protective and help save us from whatever situation we're in. Yeah. But then when we get older, we look back and we're like, okay, now I can't get rid of this. I don't know how to get rid of this thing, right? So we are brilliant, and we can also get rid of things that we have created. But we have to know that we are master creators of our lives.
Yeah. And I think also you need the guidance, the support of someone like yourself to show you how and why, in the way to do it and hold your hand. I really think that's important. I'm a big proponent of having coaches, and everybody needs somebody to guide you in whatever it is. My husband can't stand it. He's like, can't you just Google it? He's like, why do you always have to pay somebody? And I'm like, like literally, that's always his thing. Why do you have to pay somebody? And I'm like, listen, you figure out your life over there. But if I'm going to, we're talking about something as important as this, right? I mean, this is life changing. And, we're talking especially for us older women, I mean, getting healthy physically and mentally once and for freaking all in our lives, too old for this crap, to be taking, stuff from our childhood here. All right. We've already had our own children. They're already grown, and we're still worried about mommy and daddy stuff, right? I mean, this is the stuff that goes on. So I love how you get to these, deeper issues. So I'm going to go off screen for a second so I can figure out how to get this up here, but you tell them a little bit about the free gift that you're going to give them.
Oh, sure. So I have a recorded hypnosis called Eliminate Emotional Eating. And if you've never experienced hypnosis, especially recorded hypnosis, it's kind of like a guided meditation. So you just have to sit back, relax, and take it in. And as I said, all change takes place in our unconscious minds, and hypnosis relaxes you and gets that conscious mind out of the way, sits it in the back seat, so that the unconscious mind can really do the work. And the hypnosis will take you into your unconscious mind, and it may bring up some memories that you didn't even know were there. And my favorite part of the hypnosis is where it asks you to go back to a specific memory of when you had an emotional eating episode or a binging episode. And it asks you to play that memory, fast forward, and in reverse. And it actually does this crazy thing where it filters that memory through a different part of your brain. And some amazing things can happen in this process. And for some people, it can just dislodge the the emotions that were held in that experience, which is what has happened to several of my clients. And for others, you may just have a realization, or you may just feel better. And with hypnosis, the more you do it, the more effective it will be, because we're talking about rewiring the brain, which requires repetition.
Very cool. Now, is hypnosis, I mean, something you can just put on when you're sleeping, like to listen to when you're asleep, or is it really something you need to sit down and be conscious when you're like a meditation type thing, or?
You can do both, actually, because it does speak to your unconscious mind. And when you're asleep, that's all about your unconscious mind. So if you can go to sleep while you're listening to something, yes, that will still work. Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to try. Hypnosis has always really intrigued me when I was, I don't know, when I was younger, 15, 16. I can't remember why, but I was brought to a hypnosis for, and I'm very, that's not me, so I was like, they're not going to, you have that attitude. They're not going to, you're not going to get into that place. And I'm not sure if that's the same kind of hypnosis that you're talking about, but,
well, if I could just say something about that, like
yeah.
if you say you're not going to hypnotize me, then you won't be hypnotized, because you cannot do something against somebody's will. So really, all hypnosis is following directions. So if you know that you're safe and that it's for your best and your highest good, then you can just relax and know that it's, I'm not going to ask you on the hypnosis to act like a chicken, which is what everybody thinks happens, which is stage hypnosis. But also those people in stage hypnosis, they want to be seen. I've been hypnotized. I've been the demo on stage before, and I respected my teacher and I wanted to be a good student, right? So I had a will behind that and a desire behind that. So you're never going to be guided through something that you don't want to do.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm glad you said that as well. I know I have a hysterical video of my son from 2 years ago, one of those stage, literally falling over to the, like the whole 9 yards. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was fantastic. But I love that, because to me, that showed the ability to let go, which I don't always have. And so, right, to really just let go and let be and trust and all those kind of things. So, I hope, ladies, you can see, you can feel through the screen Tobey's energy. She is a very trusting, intuitive person. And this is, I don't know, maybe a third conversation, I can't remember, but every time I'm talk to you, my energy lifts and to match yours. So it's really wonderful. So I'll leave. This is for, right, you see up there is the hypnosis. That is a free gift. We'll also put that into the chat. But
it's missing a number 1, hypnosis 1.
Oh, okay. Make sure at the end. We'll make sure to put it right. We'll make sure in the chat it goes correctly. Maybe I can fix that right now. Hold on. Let me see. While we're sitting here, let me just add a 1 to it. 1 update. There it is. All right. See, Jill did something good. Okay. When it came to this. So that's perfect. But what I would love for you to do just really quickly is, I know you do have this awesome 6-week course coming up. And I'm just going to say that I love it because it happens before my 6-week course. And so you guys can clear up your emotional eating with Tobey and then head on over and actually work on the intermittent fasting. So, but I would love.
Be so perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was
really
thinking.
Well.
It'd be a nice kind of flow for people to do. But that was a little bit teasing, but also just saying, as well, just kind of putting it out there. But what I would love for you to do right now is to just kind of go through maybe that 6-week course, like you kind of touched on it, but maybe go through like week by week what they're going to maybe do or expect, or just a little bit more about that.
Sure. So the first thing that we do is we start with the emotions, because why are we eating? Maybe because we're not comfortable with our emotions. We're not comfortable with the feelings of our emotions, or maybe we don't even know what our emotions feel like because we've just been hand to mouth eating every time we have an emotion for so long. So the very first thing that we do is I drop you into a guided meditation where you feel the emotions in your body and you can kind of get used to what they feel like. Are they soft? Are they jagged? Are they heavy? Are they light? Are they warm? Are they cold? What do they feel like in your body? What are the actual sensations? So we do emotions, and then I have you track your emotions so that you can know throughout the day, when are you feeling what emotion? And so just to bring more awareness to that and maybe what may be triggering your emotional eating. And then we do limiting beliefs, and we look at not only beliefs behind the emotions, but different beliefs in your life, limiting beliefs in your life that may be causing the eating. I teach you how to listen to different voices in your head. And some of the voices, I'm giving a real sneak peek here. So when we are eating, there's three main voices that happen. And one is called the persecutor, one is the comforter, and one is the minimizer. So when we are experiencing the persecutor, it's like, you're so fat, just eat it anyway. It just won't matter. Or it's whatever that mean voice is that makes you reach for the food. The comforter, oh God, you've had such a hard day. Oh, your boyfriend just broke up with you. Really? Like, let's just eat some ice cream. It'll make you feel better. Come on, sweetie. The minimizer is, it's just one bite. It won't matter. And that one bite turns into more and more and more, but the minimizer just minimizes the effect. Oh, it's no big deal. We'll start again tomorrow. So we all have versions of those. So I give you an assignment where you discover what your own voices are, and I have you name them. And it's really fun. And this was a big part of my healing, being able to hear the different voices in my head and to realize like, that's actually, in OA, we called it the diseased voice versus the recovery voice, but the negative voice versus the healing voice, right? And so we all have those, and that can be really helpful for people because you know what? We don't have to listen to our thoughts. And we don't always realize that because it's just, there's a constant chatter going on in our minds. So this is going to help you bring more awareness to what is actually going on in your head and to realize that you have choice and that you can start to listen to different voices and speak back to those voices. So that's a really big piece. We do lots of different energy healings. I like to take you at the beginning or the middle of each class through a guided meditation. I'm also doing distance energy. And I like to drop you into your body to discover what are those different sensations, whether they're physical pain or discomfort or their emotions, what they're speaking to you, what they're saying to you. And when we can get the lessons from the emotion or the pain, even when we can get the lesson that our body is trying to communicate to us, the pain will release. I've seen this over and over and over and over again. It's really incredible. Our bodies are just trying to communicate to us, but then we just ignore them by shoving down pills or some other kind of remedy to mask a symptom, where our bodies are very wise and have very, innate healing abilities. So I tap you into yourself, and we do that several classes so you can get used to that, so you can take that to yourself and you can do that process on your own. I teach you some tools to, like, as I was talking about before, listen to your body and be able to feel your body and what your body is speaking. And that's more towards the end of the 6 weeks after we've cleared out a lot of this other stuff and you've learned to tap in. And one of my favorites is something that I do in one-on-one, and I brought it to this group, and it's called higher self therapy. And we release old trapped emotions in your body from the root cause. So that may be something in this life or carried down through a bloodline. You may be carrying it from a parent and it wasn't even your choice, but it came in, in your mother's womb. So it's a very, very powerful experience that unearths the baggage that may be sitting in your system, whether your energetic body or your actual physical bodies. There's probably more, but that's a lot. And that's a taste of what you're going to get, but it's very, very thorough.
Yeah. Wow. That was exciting. That was actually a lot you're packing in, a lot of amazing tools there, that in modalities. And I'm a big believer in, there's not one way to do anything, right? And different people can, and there's a lot of ways to get to the same thing. And you have to figure out what your way is. So I love that you bring in a lot of different ways. And I like that everything kind of builds on everything else. So fantastic. So so ladies, right there, what you're seeing is her free, for the just joining us, the free hypnosis recording that you can download, or I'll put that also link in there. And then she was just discussing her 6-week Eliminate Emotional Eating course that starts, when does that start?
July 8th.
Just around the corner.
Yeah,
just around the corner. You guys probably received an email me from about it. You'll probably get another one tomorrow as well. Or I can't remember. I'm doing the next day or two. I'm sending out another one too. So look for those as well. I want to just kind of, any last thoughts you have, any final words that you just want to say to everybody before we say goodbye today?
I would say that if you have any discomfort or hesitation about what I'm saying, there's something there. Defensiveness is a gold mine that there's something deeper, and I feel that a lot of people are like, oh, that may be too intense for me. I'm ready just to stick a toe in the water. But if you're here, if you're watching this, or even if you're in Jill's group, you want something more, So this is, I mean, 6 weeks is not even a very big commitment in your life, the way I look at it, but it's something to experience, maybe something totally different than you've ever experienced in your life.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to being a part of your group, and I know I'll have you back as part of my group as well again, in different ways as well. But ladies, definitely connect with Tobey. You'll get all the stuff in the comments. You'll have all of her stuff to connect with her. And I'm going to say goodbye to you. Just hang out there if you would, until this is all over, because I'll come back on when we're all done. All right. So
Great.
hang.
Thank you so much.
All right. Do, 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 do. All right, ladies. So that's it. Another wrapped up Midlife Mojo Monday. Thank you for Dawn. Thanks for being here live. And for those of you who watch on the replay as well, appreciate that. And just to kind of tell you what's going on in the Midlife Mojo world, this week is the last week of the aroma sharing event, which if you've been getting my emails and seeing my posts, that's almost all of my store is on sale at pretty much the lowest prices that I usually offer during the year. Usually this event is live, but because it's an online event, I decided just to open it up to everybody. Usually it's just for the essential oil people, but I decided to open it up for everybody. So definitely head on over to jillabofsky.com and then hit on Aroma Sharing 2021, and you can see everything, because that ends June 30th. And that includes my 6-week course also, as I mentioned, ends which is after Tobey's, would be a perfect segue from her course into mine. And I've got that on sale right now as well. So that is it. I have a lot of cool things that I'm working on, ladies, for the summer. You may not see me as present or doing as many millions of things as you always see Jill doing. I'm trying to find Jill's work-life balance, as I always say, and taking a little bit step back. But I'm working on some really cool things behind the scenes that hopefully in the fall will start to come to fruition and bring to you guys. So look for all that. And that is it. Let's hold on here. Let me send you off with my little goodbye video.